Good afternoon. I'm Andrew Shotland, CEO, founder, and whatever you want to call for Local SEO Guide. We are doing today a brief panel on what we call the channel battle. There are several marketing channels with local search, social, paid, SEO among some of the favorites, and we're all competing with each other to say the other one is incredibly worthless. Do not do that channel. Do not blow your money on that channel. So I thought it'd be interesting to get people who do specialize in different markets and tactics to kind of go through and say, well, what's your pitch? What do you guys do? Let's see how they differ, and let's show them that SEO is really the best channel. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Anja Beckman, who's going to run us through his pitch. Go for it.
All right. Whoops. Okay. My name is Anja Beckman. I'm founder of Location 3. We're a digital marketing company that helps multi-location brands, specifically franchise systems. So I'm going to take a view of national, local, and how they kind of work hand in hand. So when we work with a franchise system, one of the common kind of strategies on a high level is working with national to focus on advertising on their brand terms, and then work on locally franchisees with non-branded phrases such as, near me searches or zip codes or city, state, in addition to the keyword that would be associated with it. So kind of how we roll out a digital marketing campaign is we start with running through, let's say, the search engines, Google, Bing, Facebook is our foundation, building out various query sets around those geo-modified phrases, making sure our tracking is in place, and start collecting audience data. So once we run the campaigns on the foundation, we start benchmarking what the cost is for generate a sale or a lead, and then we start building out audiences, and then we move that over to expand the program using mobile apps, other retargeting strategies, Instagram, other social ad channels, and that's kind of how we progress from starting a foundation to expanding a paid media program. We build out various keywords, and then once we start looking at those keywords, we start when we start running those campaigns, we start seeing the various query sets, those near me searches, those geo-modified phrases. So if I wanted to advertise on the word, let's say, tax help, it's going to cost me a fortune because I'm up against aggregators, affiliates, etc. But once I start zeroing it down to a specific location, radius, and having those geo-modifiers, we're able to lower the cost per click, increase the quality score because there's a nice relationship between the query, the landing page, and what we offer, and that's how we get the best response. We take those budgets, we kind of use a Google keyword estimator. We can get an idea of what the impression share by specific markets, and then we run, let's say in this case, we ran, let's say, $300 per location. Once we start running on the campaigns, because again, everything is all estimates on Google, we will then start understanding what the actual impression share looks like, what how much clicks can we derive by that specific market. Now there's also seasonality you have to take into account, but we'll learn that over time. But then we start adjusting the spends, and the goal is maximizing our Google first and Bing, and then roll it to Facebook, and then that extension that I mentioned earlier. So kind of overall, just what you want to think about a 90-day rollout. There's initial kickoff, discuss a strategy, keyword research, start segmenting the program with different ad groups, building out that whole campaign, deploy and verify the paid media, make sure everything's tracking properly. That's a big thing there. Reporting configuration, how the client wants it, a program launch and monitoring if there's any key metrics, analyzing the different markets, media projections, including seasonalities, and then obviously ongoing support. And then most importantly, what I have advantage over SEO and social is I get dedicated teams from the search engines because I'm spending money with them, and they spend more time with us and our clients, so it's a win-win situation. That's me.
Hello, everyone. So I get to represent social. For those that are unfamiliar with me or SOCi, the company I represent, SOCi is a leading reputation and reputation management platform based out of San Diego. And I'm the CMO. Joined SOCi about 4 months ago, but I've got about 15 years in local search and digital marketing. So very happy to be here. The challenge here, as Andrew had mentioned, is really if you're a small business or you're a multi-location brand, everybody's dealing with a limited budget. And if you have a limited budget, where do you put that budget at? Do you put it in local SEO? Do you put it in social? Or do you put it in paid ads? And hopefully by the time I'm done, you're just totally gonna know it's social. So obviously social's huge, right? When you think about social, 1 out of every 3 minutes spent on your mobile device or in digital is spent on a mobile platform. Not only that, for those of you that were here when David presented the research that he recently conducted with Street Fight, now more than, it's a little bit over 50% of US consumers now use social platforms for local search as well. As a result of all of that usage, social is now affecting every part of whether you're a local business or a national business, from new customer acquisition to purchase decisions to customer care. Super compelling stats up there. So second only to personal referrals. Over almost 80% of all purchase decisions are made based on information they see in social. And then 70% of your customers now turn to social for customer care issues. And when you think about everything that's happening, all that usage, a lot of that usage actually has gone local, as we mentioned, with half of consumers now conducting local search on the platform. But a lot of businesses think of local search and they think, well, I've got a social page, my brand page is on Facebook, or I've got some presence on Instagram, I'm good. The reality is a lot of the engagement that's happening within the social platforms is happening at the local business level. And for those that are unfamiliar, there are a lot of ways to actually build a local business presence within Facebook and some of these channels. So for instance, on Facebook alone, their local business pages have grown 17 times over the past 5 years. There's over 65 million local business pages today on Facebook alone. In addition to that, when you look at the type of activity that's happening within the social platforms, yes, local search is big, but reviews are even bigger. So when you think about reviews, a lot of times people think about the traditional platforms, the Yelps, the TripAdvisor, et cetera. The reality is in the past couple years, Google and Facebook have actually eclipsed some of these traditional sites in terms of number of reviews that are happening. So the social platforms are becoming a key area for local businesses. However, when you're looking at representing yourself, again, whether you're a small business or you're a multi-location brand, social gets a little bit complicated because it's not as easy as placing an ad buy. You have to think about 3 critical components, and we break this down as such. So first, it's presence. Do I have my local business page claimed? Do I have the information optimized? On top of that, do I have a good way to communicate with my customers, right? Your customers are on there already. Are you seeing the conversations that are happening? Are you engaging? Are there reviews about your business that are already there, and have you responded back? And then finally, the third leg of a social presence is growth. That would include social advertising as well as ways in which you can increase your social presence through reviews or social review solicitation. So again, if I'm a business with a limited budget, I'm gonna break these down by SMB and then a multi-location brand. So if I'm an SMB, I look at presence first, right? I wanna go and claim and optimize my local business page. That's pretty amazing because it's free, or you can, depending on the number of locations you have, you can get someone to help you claim those. There's a ton of really great businesses that can do that for you. Typically range in price from $50 to $100 per location to do that service. On top of that, you want to make sure that you have a good program in place so that you can take care of those customer service and care issues. And what that involves is actually being aware of conversations as they're happening, so you're listening in for your keywords, and then you have a way to respond. And so if you're a local business, again, the good news is a lot of those tools are free, right? A lot of the social platforms, if you're a single business, offer you a very easy way to do that. There's also platforms like Hootsuite, which offer free to very inexpensive solutions that you can go on there, respond, capture all of the listening, and do some pretty sophisticated things from a local business level within social. And then finally, when you have those two things done, the third leg of the stool is then growth. And then you could look at social for increasing the number of followers to your page. You could increase your lead acquisition via social. There's all of these different ways that you can use social advertising to do a lot of different things. The beauty about social advertising is it's a bidding marketplace, very similar to search. So you can decide how much you want to spend. You could make it as low as $1 up to hundreds and thousands of dollars per day that you want to spend. So it's pretty flexible, but you have to keep in mind that you are in a bidding environment. So time of year, the type of audience you're looking to reach, and your objective will you'll need to take that into play in terms of how much you're going to spend. So overall, for a local business, I think you could get started in social for about $350 a month, covering all three of these areas, and I would say that's a starting point. From a multi-location brand perspective, it gets a little bit more expensive, obviously. You're representing, and you need to cover a lot of different locations. So on the presence side, again, very similar to a local business, you want to make sure first and foremost, you're going out and claiming and optimizing all of your local business pages within the social properties, primarily Facebook. Again, you could do that yourself, but if you have 10 plus locations, it might be easier to use someone, a service to help you claim those, or you can claim them yourselves. In terms of care, again, if you're going to be listening into conversations around a number of different businesses that you represent, you not only have to be concerned about the conversations, but you also have to be concerned about reviews. So we would suggest you look into a social media platform. There's several of them out there. Obviously, SOCi is one of those. And depending on the number of locations you have, if you're a brand that represents 100 locations, for instance, you'd probably be paying about $3,000 a month to get all of your social media management and reputation management services into one platform. And then again, the third leg of the stool is growth. Once you have your presence and your care covered, then you look at growth, and depending on what your strategy is in social advertising, you could probably start with a budget of about $250 per location. Overall, about a $33,000 a month budget for a 100 location brand within social. I think that's it for social.
Great. Oh, I'll do your last one. There's performance metrics, and we swear we don't make them up. All right. Thank you. You're welcome. Great. That was really interesting. Those seem like really expensive channels. So we work with both SMBs and multi-location companies to do SEO programs, and I thought I'd just walk you through what we typically see. So there are pluses and minuses, as I'm sure you guys know. SMBs actually can be moved really quickly if you can, find the right guy. And they're really focused on either a vertical or a market in a way that a national or a regional brand can't be. But of course, they don't have any money, although some of them actually have a lot of money, but they're reluctant to spend it like everybody else. Multi-location businesses have the advantage of scale. They can do one thing across tens of locations, hundreds of locations, thousands of locations, and really create huge impact. The problem is red tape is insane, typically when dealing with a bigger company. They have a lot of money, but then again, they also lack access to development resources. We run into this over and over again with large companies where one department can't get access to a Google login because the other department runs it. The social guys have that, right? A common refrain is, we can't get access to the Yelp pages because that's in social, whereas there's an SEO component of your Yelp page. So we see a lot of that stuff. So a common SMB SEO program starts in month 1 with a site audit, an analysis of their backlinks from other sites, basically claiming or updating their Google My Business page, and then doing what we call a citation audit and repair, meaning we're gonna look at all the listings around the web and make sure they're okay. And there's it's all over the map for what an average audit would cost. Some people will give it to you for free. For instance, if they're doing paid search, they might just throw it in. And it might be worth exactly what you pay for it. But basically, for a typical small business, somewhere between $500 and $5,000 is probably in the right spot for a small local website. If you have an e-commerce component to your site, it's going to be more because the complexity just got bigger. Once the audit's delivered, though, basically what happens is the SMB doesn't know what to do. And in the cases where you're doing truly scalable small SMB, like say a company like Boostability might do, they don't have to do anything because Boostability is probably running your website. It's like a single page website and they're updating it. And you don't have to do anything, so that's good. But the minute you have to do something to your website, there's paralysis because we don't have the time. We don't, my nephew can't access the login. There's just all those problems. But you can fix easy stuff often, and maybe you can build a new website. And then we continue to do the citation audit. And then in the outer months, once we've got through fixing the site, we'll start to do things like publishing content and getting links, actively going out and getting links. And actively going out and getting links and generating reviews are the things that really make the SEO gas go. And articles, we see it all over the map, anywhere from $50 an article to $1,500 if you're looking for something really amazing, maybe even more if you're doing like a really interactive piece. But most SMBs and most big clients want to spend as little as much on content because they think it's just SEO garbage. Link building. If you're not spending $200 a month in link building, it's probably not worth doing. Really highly competitive niches like lawyers, probably spending anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 a month in link building because it's that competitive. And review management, somewhere between $100 and $250 a month seems to be the market. And then you just keep repeating. The SMB SEO it can be really great because if you get access to everything, you can really push it and make it happen, but resources are a problem. Non-technical people working with you, like the guy's nephew is the guy who runs the website. We've had that happen 1,000,000 times, or my cousin does it. And if you're a service area business, you just have a lot of problems because Google wants to rank you in your physical location, not in the city over there. So that's your common SMB SEO program. A multi-location SEO program is similar, except as Monica kind of alluded to, like the scale is bigger. So an audit's going to be somewhere between 5,000, let's say, and 30,000. Your citation work per location, you can probably get away a citation service, that's decent for $100 for a location, but that usually doesn't mean there's any kind of actually artisanal handcrafting work to that stuff, meaning it's probably not going to be that effective. So if you want effective citation work, you need to spend, and the range is usually somewhere around $300 to $750 per location. The confusion and paralysis is the exact same as with SMBs, in some cases more so. We've worked with plenty of, we're working with a Fortune 500 company right now. We've had a signed contract with them for 6 months. We just got Google My Business Access yesterday. And this is on a high priority program. So they have all the same problems except at scale. And then there's going to be ongoing technical problems because a big site is going to constantly shoot itself in the foot technically. And so you're going to need ongoing technical consulting, and then same issues with publishing content, getting links, and review management, all scale problems. And in some ways, even more of a pain in the ass than the SMB because there's more constituents. There's a lot more politics, a lot more people trying to get in your way or move their agenda. Coordination is a problem, and reporting is crazy because they're very demanding. They want 50 different types of reports for 50 different types of people, the CEO, the CMO, whomever. And that is pretty much your SEO program. That said, it can work really well. As an example, this is a real traffic chart for a 33 location brand where all we did was fix their Google My Business pages a couple weeks ago, and you can see it kind of popped just in time for Memorial Day. So it can really work. The ROI can be effective. And what we see across all of our clients, we did a little analysis and said, where's the traffic coming from? And across big brands, almost half the traffic is SEO. Of course, half of that is probably branded searches. and non-brand searches. And across SMBs, a lot less, but still significant portion. And in the case of SMBs, almost all of it is usually brand searches. So the trick with SEO is brand searches are for free in general. You want to go after unbranded searches. But we continually see companies large and small push more budget to paid because it's more reliable. It's what they're more used to. And actually very little, in most of our clients, it may be self-selection bias, invest very little in social. But they're always trying to do something on it, but it's not quite as much as they're investing in these other channels. And there you go, that is our presentation. We've got a couple minutes for Q&A. Do these microphones work, guys? Yes? Pick them up. All right, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. So when you guys are going out and pitching customers, how much are you competing, not with your competitors, but with other channels like SEO or paid? And then how do you combat that? How do you address that?
I think from a social standpoint, I don't know that we're necessarily competing. I mean, at least where we represent social, we're typically enabling better content generation and reviews. I think we're complementing a lot of the traditional local SEO services. I think a lot of businesses, I mean, that's the first place to start, is making sure your business listing information is clean and claimed, especially in Google. Optimizing your website. We're I would look at us as the 2.0. Like once you've got your listings in search, the next phase is claiming your presence within social. And again, based on how much time consumers spend there, we know that a lot of, especially small businesses, don't spend a lot of money in social, but it's definitely ripe with opportunity.
Yeah, I think with the franchisees that we work with, I mean, a lot of them are still doing direct mail or at-a-home billboard stuff. We're focusing on educating them on Google search, Bing search, as well as Facebook, and when do we deliver the ad, why are they not showing up, what's a CPC, all these questions are still coming out. So there's a tremendous amount of education we need to do. And then I believe we'll continue to move dollars from traditional onto digital, which is still a challenge.
You're really competing with traditional. You don't care about these other channels. You're more like, just let me take it from traditional.
I mean, we're competing against other companies for the franchisor relationship. But once we get that, most of the time we're in exclusive relationship with the franchisees, but it really takes, we had one system, it took us probably like 3 years to get 100% on a 500 location. I mean, right now we're year 3 on a 3,000 location franchise, and it's, we're 20% in, and it's all it is just getting them to understand that we can help them track and measure ROI in a hyper-local market, whether it's lead form, call tracking, and so the best way to do that is we have to get other franchisees to help us with our efforts to convince their fellow franchisees to run marketing campaigns on digital.
It sounds painful. We were actually talking about something last night that I wanted to address. Speaking of education, so several years ago, Google rebooted their AdWords reseller program, and one of the stipulations about being part of it was that you had to be transparent about your markup. Are you transparent about your markup, Andy?
Yes. So in our local act platform, I pull in the API paid data from Google, Facebook, Bing, but as in the prospecting phase, we've kind of, with other brands, I've gotten access to other platforms, and they show.
Name names?
No, I don't want to get involved with stuff.
You know who you are? Hiding your markup?
But we're seeing that they're showing the amount of clicks that are coming through, the leads or calls, so all the great metrics. It's just they're not showing the CPC that they're delivering. And I've challenged Google multiple times. I've brought it to their attention, but they turn a blind eye to the fact that there's still a lack of transparency. So about a year ago, there was a huge write-up about how the holding companies are not being transparent with these large corporations. Well, it's the same thing is happening on the SMB level, where the markups are happening on the click costs, as well as them probably charging some type of management fee. So it's an tough industry for an SMB when they're like, it's their livelihood, and companies are taking 50, 60% margins off them. It's aggressive and it's unfortunate.
Unfortunately, we are out of time, so a brief panel, but I would say leave it on. We've never seen a paid account that wasn't out of whack. So yeah, there you go. Thank you for listening. Have a great show. Thank you, Street Fighters.